What is really at the core of what all these different teachers are saying about how to live your best life, whether it's Joe Dispenza or Dyer or Eckhart Tolle or all these great teachers. I could just name tons and tons. Bruce Lipton, I've read all of these guys over the last year and a half, and they've all contributed to helping me at least change my life completely. But what are they all saying? Well, I'll tell you what they're all saying. They're saying something that's deeply spiritual that they all have in common. And strangely, it's something that Jesus was saying over 2,000 years ago, and I'm going to share it with you here in just the next few minutes. Today is no mics. It is out here at the beach at Lake Michigan. There are no lights. There are none of that fancy stuff to film. Today is just me sharing with you what's happened in my heart over the last year. I'm Jim, y'all, by the way, and I found peace and purpose in my own life, and I believe I can help you to do the same. If that's something you want more of, I invite you to subscribe right there. Click one of the links if you want to discuss working with me. I'd love to help you on your own journey. But here's what's kind of happened over the last year and a half in my life. I have discovered in this strange way a whole new me. If you watch me on here at all, you know I was an evangelical pastor for over 30 years. And strangely, when I left all of that and got out of the church world, I have found a deeper connection with God and purpose and peace than I've ever had in my life before that. And I'm not down on church, as you know from here, although it's not my vibe anymore. I have discovered God in a whole new way. And here's what I think these guys are all saying that they have in common and that Jesus was saying 2,000 years ago. Life is really about two or maybe three really big things that you need to get a hold of if you want to live the life you've always dreamed of. Number one is it is about discovering who you really are. And you are spiritual. There's a guy named Rob Bell that wrote a great book back several years ago. Rob was a former pastor as well, a deep thinker. And the name of the book is Everything is Spiritual. And I believe he hit the nail on the head. Everything is spirit. Everything is energy. At a scientific level, if you read people like Dispenza, they call it the field. I think Eckhart Tolle calls it your higher self, as you're part of that field. You are spiritual at your core. You continue on forever and ever. You never end. You never start. You never end. You're spiritual. You need to understand yourself, that is true of you. The second thing you need to understand is because of that field that Dispenza talks about, because of this universe that science tells us is 99.99999% emptiness, what we're learning now is actually energy, because there is this cosmic flow through everything that exists. We're all connected together. So the second thing is you and I are one. We're connected. Whether you want to be connected to a redneck sounding guy like me or not, you are, and I am to you. We're all one in this universe. We're ourselves, but we're each other as well. That'll blow your mind when you start thinking about that. And number three, God is at the source of all of that. And at the same time, God is in all of that, and he's driving all of that. And I use the word he very loosely. We like to personify God. We like to put something on God that says this is who or what God is. God's bigger than that, I believe. Jesus called this field that we live in, he called this universe that we're a part of, the kingdom. He said the kingdom of heaven is within you. I like how Eckhart Tolle describes the kingdom of heaven. He says it's literally saying like the dimension of the sky. Now, what does he mean by that? He's basically saying this, that we are part of a bigger dimensional reality than we realize. That you and I are spiritual beings living in a spiritual world sourced by a spiritual source. When you get a hold of those three big things in your life, man, it starts to change the way you view everything. You start to see your body in a whole new way. This body is just a earthly kind of shell where the real us somewhat resides. You start to see your soul in a new way. It's much bigger than the little container that in your mind you've put it in. It's infinite. It touches everything. It's connected to everything. You might be on the other side of the world from Wisconsin, USA here listening to this, and you and I are fully, completely connected. This will change your reality when you start to get a hold of this. Everything is spiritual. You are spiritual, I am spiritual, and we're all connected to a spiritual source. And what does this have to do with the life of your dreams, with living in a state of bliss and a state of happiness? Once you start to understand that, you begin to realize you're without limits. That you're not limited by your body, you're not limited by your ability, you're not limited by what you think, your thoughts is possible. You're not limited by anything, you're unlimited, because you're connected to an unlimited source and force that is God. And you're part of this unlimited, ever-expanding universe. And we're part of each other. We're in this thing together. And you start to see what this thing is really about is love. God pouring his love out to us pouring our love out to each other. And when you begin to live at that level, it starts to change. Everything starts to change. You begin to see that you're here for a bigger purpose, for a bigger reality. And I don't know exactly what your purpose is. I think my purpose is to help people like you find your purpose and your peace, just like I found mine. But I think we all have that as our purpose at the core a little bit. But whatever your purpose is, you start to plug into it and you start to experience freedom in the only moment and the only place in what we call time exist, and that is now. Think about that for a minute. There is nothing but now in reality. The past is gone. It's disappeared. It's like a vapor. It's no longer here. Your future is not here. I know your future is coming, hopefully. If this body ends, your future is still coming because you are an eternal being, but the future is not here. The future is a mist. It's a vapor. It's not a reality. Now is the only reality that you ever have. And what living in this way, with this understanding of what it's really all about, that you are a spiritual being living in a spiritual reality sourced by a spiritual source and force that we know as God, and that is limitless, changes everything for you when you begin to live from that perspective. You begin to have joy, you begin to have bliss, you begin to feel purpose and peace in your life, and it never, ever, ever, ever ends. And all you have to do is plug into it. Today, I challenge you to plug in to your peace, to your purpose, to your source, to that force that sources it all, and start living your best life this second, now, because you can do it right now. Blessings to you, my friend.